Well, good morning, everyone. It is Thursday morning here in Kalamazoo. It's the 26th of September. Little sunrise in Mountain Home Cemetery. Figured we would start this little walking tour and sunrise here at a famous grave, even though that we have Governor Ransom. His grave is right there. We're gonna start this little tour this morning with Frank and Mary Henderson, the owner and proprietor of the Henderson Ames Company here in Kalamazoo. Manufacturer of Masonic and fraternal regalia, every type, including the swords, and his famous castle is right over here. You can see the finial on the top of the tower. At one time, before these trees all grew up, he was in sight of his castle. Frank was born in 1841 and died in 1899, just a handful of years after finishing the castle. Built in the late 1870s. I'm sorry, 1890s. His wife lived there for a while and then moved. Castle changed hands several times. I understand it's for sale again. All right, we'll take a little walking tour here. One of the valleys. I'll be right back. This was the first gravestone I ever cleaned in my life back in 2021, in the spring of 2021. It was almost black. Matter of fact, you couldn't read it. You can now. Same as for this one. Martha was my second. And Elizabeth was the third. Show you the fourth. There used to be a beautiful obelisk here, but during the tornado years ago, late 70s, it was toppled. This is it. It was unlegible, very, very dark. Used to have a finial. A lot better shape today. Okay, let's walk over here and the sunrise here. Mountain Home, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Here's Dr. Gibbs. And you can see the sunrise over the valley right here. There's a Revolutionary War veteran right over here we'll take a look at. He's related to the governor. We've seen, pointed his grave out earlier. This couple right here, their graves, these headstones were completely black with biologics. And this took a little bit of time and some D2, but it certainly turned out just fine. So did the Civil War veteran. It's right here. Also damaged during the tornado. Mr. Broadwell, thank you for your service. Okay, it's looking down over the rest of the valley. where Dr. Upjohn is buried and so forth. We'll be over there in just a few minutes. Show you a grave that certainly fits into the genre of cemetery or graveyard humor, dark humor at that. All right. The other ransom graves and we'll adjust this marker here a second. There we go. As you can see, veteran of the Revolutionary War. Can't have that on there either. Ezekiel Ransom, private, Connecticut and Massachusetts. October 1st, 1763, November 4th, 1838. Marker placed by Lucinda Hinsdale Stone Chapter. Very nice. And of course, his parents. Talked about the best view in the house from the eastern porch there, portico of Heritage Hall at Western, where President Waldo is buried. This ain't too shabby either, or if you come from uptown either. Be right back. Right here in this little point, several children's graves all together here. And as I understand the epidemic or epidemic related, you can see right here there is a little lamb. Its head, what's left of it, is placed right there. Several children's graves, and that's really cool, recently been marked. For many years you couldn't read these, and what a great gift. Anna Woodbury, 5 years old. Carrie W., 3 years old. Frederick Pierre, 4 years old. And little Wilhelmina, 9 years old. Some other veterans here. We have 7-year-old Mary Lasher. And I believe if they knew if this was a grave marker, who it would be, since it's not marked or yet, we'll keep an eye on this. I know that the oldest burial in this cemetery is right here. It's one of the pioneers, and flat markers here as well. Yep. Now, if I omit something, forgive me. Lieutenant in the Air Service, World War I. Let's straighten this out a little bit. Another one back here. This is the whole Hickmott family plot. Here's Susan. World War II. And here's Evelyn. Very nice. Okay, we'll work our way down here to the Van Duzens. They're a very prominent family here in Kalamazoo back in the day. A lot to do with the library and museum downtown. And where the downtown library is where the Van Duzen, that property is where the Van Duzen mansion was built, and they lived until they donated it to be turned into the museum and library. Stood there for many years, and then it was razed, and the present building was erected. That's the one that I remember going into when I was a boy. The building is still there, so to speak, but it has been heavily remodeled over the years. It looks nothing like it used to, and the museum has been moved, which is really cool too. And in the downtown library, they have a large meeting room, and it's the Van Duzen room. I've been in there and watched the inauguration live on a big screen TV with a packed room of President Obama back in the day. Yep. Over here are three graves that I worked on for a year. Actually 4, little Willie. But the Carl family plot, completely unreadable. Just, they look like, I thought they were black marble and covered with moss. Very, very bad shape. This one too, you couldn't tell there's any writing on them. And so I went to work on these, and it took a while. And the following year, 2022, they look just like this. And now you can meet Frank, Mary Elizabeth, and their daughter, Catherine Elizabeth. And we can't forget, here behind us, the tree, big old dying tree. They've cut some limbs out of it. I remember when that fell. There's another little headstone here. It's missing, but we look here on the back, we see Wilhelmina S. Carl. And she was known as Willie. She was born in 1885 and died in 1888. So this is probably a little Carl next to it too. And then the rest of the later family back here. Mother and father and the sister of little Katie. Little Willie, I should say. Her sister Katie's there on the end. All right. You can see the sunrise. Those are the plumes of steam coming out of the paper mill just north here in Kalamazoo, Graphic Packaging. The Gibson Guitar Company is about right there. The old Gibson factory. Famous Bardeen family marker. Take a look down here in just a second, but I want to show you another stone. You can see how the face on this one looks. Okay, this is on an angle. Okay, it's not nearly as bad as what Alice's was. Hers was unreadable, and there was just a layer of biologicals on top of it. And I seen this one day, I had just enough chemical left in when I was working over here on the Carls. So I'm going to clean this. And I get down here, Alice Louise McDuffie, 1874, 1950. And I notice this plaque. Okay? I'm going to read this here in just a second. I'll be right back. Alice Louise McDuffie was a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Now, I imagine when you get out east or farther out east, probably find a lot of that. But that's the only one that I've ever seen in my life in the cemeteries around here in Michigan. It's interesting how things like that come to play. You have just enough chemical left and something will catch your eye. So I'm just going to do this before I go home. And it turns out to be McDuffie and her history. Little doe down there working her way along the island. There were several as I pulled in here this morning. 7 or 8 down by the entrance, no bucks. This is another stone that I cleaned. This was 2 years ago, and it's not done yet. Pardon me. It was completely blackened. If you can see these right here, look. The biologicals just really darken them. But this very heavy darkening, even deeper than that, that's what this whole stone looked like. I didn't even know there was writing on it. But they passed away in 1869. They're born in 1831. And this is the wife, and her name is Anna. But I can't get the last name on that. Down here in the valley, there used to be a beautiful life-size setter, a dog, a canine, that was sitting right there in that little white stanchion that you can see. It was life-size. It sat there, of course, for decades. I came up here one day, and it was just pulverized, and the pieces were laying there. I didn't even walk down there. I should have walked down there and taken pictures, but I didn't know, if it had been being observed and they were waiting for somebody to come back to the scene or whatever. But I came back up here about a month later, and it was all gone. The pieces had been removed. And I did walk down there and look at it then. And it's very sad somebody would come and do something like that. My dad would say people just can't leave their hands the hell off them stuff, unquote. And here we go. All right, let's go down and take a look at Dr. Upjohn there. Be right back. I know what you're thinking. Where's the Strat? Can't you read the sign? No stairway. Yes, I guess you could say that the exit could be this way. Well, folks, they're along West Main, near the foot of the Henderson Castle, which is just over this rise and on the other side of the street. This is the old Sexton's Lodge, or Sexton's home. And of course, next door right here was a large field of flowers, an actual florist shop set up and so forth back in the day. And as the cemetery needed to expand, that was raised and turned into part of the cemetery. But as you heard me in a prior video in another cemetery talk about the house, or the structure needed to store the bodies over the winter because the ground could not be dug. It's frozen several feet down. So over the winter, the bodies would need to be stored. And one of these storage locations is built right here, 1878. It is a protected building. It's going to be restored here, I understand. It's on the project list. And this is the little winter storage building. See the sculptures on the front. 1878. Door is made of iron. Hello. No, there's nobody there. Of course, this time of year. And what do we have here? This is a vault. Kind of interesting. That's interesting too. Anyways, taking a look at the old facilities here. And no, there was nobody inside. That was me making that voice. Be right back. Here's one of the Zinkies. Oh, folks, here is the grave of Albert M. Todd and Augusta M. Todd. Little headstones right here. Very famous family. The Todd Mint Company here in Kalamazoo. Back in the day, and to this day, it still exists. And they sell extracts of mint all over the world. And they have for many decades. These are the type of stones right here that when we come into the cemeteries with a grave preservation crew here, and we clean these, and you can bet this right here will be done next season, because I know that this section of the cemetery is on the list. That's my favorite section of the cemetery. The big obelisk that you can see right here, that's Mr. Abercrombie and his family. Several nice sized obelisks here in the valley. The largest one sits way back here on the top of the hill. You can just see the very tippy tip of it there on the hill. We'll look at those later when I do a video on just the obelisks. You can see how the biologics build up on these white marble stones. And this stone actually was flat. It was laying here on the ground, and it stood here, and somebody had cleaned it. Needs the rest of it done, and I'm sure it will be. It takes a lot of work to do that. So somebody started here on the North family, because this looked as bad as Gates. Even worse, because see, Gates is a lot of real porous and textured fascia around the stone. North is very Art Deco and smooth. They look like they did the stones here too. That's certainly Deco. We'll be right back. You can bet the Bowdman stone right here, their monument, this will probably take a solid quart of D2, if not more. I might do this one myself in the spring. We'll see. In the summer of 2021, I came back here and found this grave. Family plot. Beautiful family marker. It was unreadable. Bushes and shrubage grow all around it. On my Facebook page, I have before and after photos of it. I didn't make any video back then, but took care of the McQueig site here, and also took care of the Edmonds and the Stablers. This was unreadable. Just the nature of the material. Had no idea what it said, if there was even a name or anything on it. I was able to make out that there was some writing here, and so then seeing this last name, and then as I cleaned, I got through to this and noticed, because it was the same material, unlike the ones to the sides of it here. And so I went to work on it, and it turned out great. Deco, all the way up, all the way around. Looks just fine. Looks like I've been visited here this morning. This is kind of nice. You have a buck right back here. It's a little 4-point, trying to become a 6. Little buck in his harem. Hello. Guten Morgen, mein Herr und Herren. The roe deer. There's a nice little 6, little basket on him. City deer. And there they go. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, I mentioned a little cemetery humor, dark humor, as it were, and it's right here near Stabler. And since I was here, somebody has placed a little bouquet of flowers on the grave of Donna June Warner. And you can see the Warners right here, side by side, Violet June. And Donna, she was born in June, on June the 21st of 1938. And she passed away on July 20th of 2016, not that long ago. But there is an inscription on the lower part of her stone that makes it quite famous. I told you I was sick. Donna June. Now, some people have said in the cemetery tours, the haunted tours that they give here in the area at times, that it's so interesting because she was sick, she couldn't be saved, but right here are doctors buried. We can go into that another time in another video, the doctors of Mountain Home Cemetery, but I'll show you the main one. Well, one of them. Be right back. Here's the Leakey Woodsman of the World plot. There's Albert, Grand Army of the Republic, Civil War veteran. Harry and Kate. Just about 30 meters away from Miss June and her rather humorous epitaph. It's Dr. Upjohn and his wife. Rachel, 1856 to 1905. And Dr. Upjohn, William E., 1858 to 1932. The inventor of the dissolvable pill, as it were, be mass produced. Started the Upjohn Company here in Kalamazoo. Later merged with Pharmacia, a European concern. Became the Pharmacia and Upjohn Company, and then just Pharmacia. And then later, Pfizer bought them. Now it's the Pfizer facility, Portage Road, where they manufacture all of the Pfizer vaccines and a whole lot of other things out there. And it was started basically downtown in Kalamazoo. We've driven by his I'll call it third place of location of business, where he actually started that building, a very small brick building. And we're going to take a look at that too in an upcoming video on this gentleman right here. And there are other doctors right here as well. And right here is a hero, and we'll end this video with beautiful sunrise that we've seen here at a local hero's grave. Be right back. Well, folks, right here is a local hero, Donald Pomeroy Millam. We've heard of the very famous and great thoroughfare here in the area, Millam Road. We've heard of Millam Park. Beautiful, beautiful place. This is Mr. Millam. He was killed in 1918. He was born in 1894. In memorandum, Donald Pomeroy Millam, Company A, 26th Infantry, 1st Division, killed in action, Meuse-Argonne Offensive, October 4th, 1918. In just over a month, the war would be over. As I remember my history, the 1st Division will forever be known as the Big Red One, or the Bloody One. I had a staff sergeant in my unit in West Germany who was in the Big Red One in Vietnam. He was the only soldier allowed to have an actual red colored one in the center of his subdued patch, specially made just for the members of the 1st Division out of World War I. Very, very interesting. Very heroic. Donald Millam. With that, we'll be right back. A little better view here. Millam and Upjohn. Okay, thank you again with us here today. Nice little tour here through Mountain Home. It's going to be a beautiful morning. With all the running around that I do, I have picked up a nice big screw in my tire. And so I'm heading right now over to my favorite tire store and get that handled so I can bring more of these videos to you. And I can't, nor will I, be screwed again. There's no way of helping the places that I run around making videos. You look and you watch the best that you can, and once in a while you pick a little something up. That's some cool history of Millam and Upjohn. All right, thanks again. Have a great day.